guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Tonight, I forgot to turn on my little light here. Tonight, I got a kind of an interesting statistic and a little bonus material for you viewers here on Local. A third of people on Tinder are married, and women are the worst offenders.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
That's right. Most of, something like 40% of people on Tinder are in a relationship, and women are the worst offenders at having a relationship and or being married and or being on Tinder. And again, it goes back to the things are kind of plain Jane in the relationship we're settled in. I miss the attention that men used to give me and the thrill and the excitement and the possibilities and the tingles. So I'll jump right into it here. Let me scroll back up here. I was reading through it. A third of the people on hookup app, Tinder, are already married, with women being the most likely to cheat. More than 4 in 10 people who use Tinder are already in a relationship, and that's just in general. So if you say, well, 40%, so whether you're a girl, whether you're a guy, whoever you're looking at, 40% says they're already in a relationship. The other 60% says they're not going to talk to you anyway. So your odds are not very good, but I find it interesting that women are the worst offenders. Now, and we also know that 80% of people now meet on dating apps, with Tinder ironically being the most popular one. So that tells you a lot of girls and guys, but more girls, are probably in a relationship. They've got someone they want to take from the front burner and, I don't know, throw in a ditch, and they want to find somebody to line up and get them on the back burner, getting warmed up and heated up, ready to go. So when they meet the right one, or they meet Mr. Exciting, they can out with the old, in with the new, or they just spice up their life with a little bit of the new. And again, I'm not saying it's all women, but we'll read the statistics. 3 in 10 people are supposedly so committed they got married on the app. They say it's supposed to help single people find love, or at least a little bit of romance, but a third of the people on Tinder, the dating app, are already married. And somewhat surprisingly, women are the worst offenders.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, sir.
I don't think anybody watching this channel is surprised. We talk about this all the time. Women like the validation and the attention, and many will say, oh, I'm not doing it so I can get a hookup. I just want people to talk. No, you want people to validate you. You want people to tell you how much, and I've got an article talking about this, how a woman wanted to, just to see what it's all about, and she was like, ooh, it's kind of nice. I like all these strange men telling me they want me. It makes her feel good about herself. So they say, according to a study by Global Web Index, more than 4 in 10 people use the app already in a relationship. 1 in 10 are going out with another person, whilst, you can tell this is the UK, whilst 3 in 10 are supposedly so committed, they've stood up and taken vows in front of their friends. Even so, they've signed up to the dating app, which allows people to scan for other users nearby and decide whether they like the look of them based on their photographs. Whenever they see someone they fancy, blah, blah. Like, why are they writing this like we've never heard of Tinder? They say the mobile app is more popular among men who outnumber women 3-2. So 66% are men, 33% are women and or female bots. So they say, however, women on Tinder are nearly twice as likely to be cheaters. More than half of the women on the dating app are in a romantic relationship of some kind, and more than 40% are married. Now, let's break down the math, fellas, okay? Because we talk about why do you not meet anybody on Tinder? Why do you have no luck? Why do you feel so bad about yourself? Okay, so 66% are men, 33% of women. Of that 33%, more than half are married or in a relationship. So, well, last I checked, half of 33 is 20 or is 16. Math. Half of 33 or 32 is 16. So of the 100% of people on Tinder, 33% are women, half of which are married in a relationship, which means that 16% of women on the app are truly single. That's it. Or let me correct that. 16% in ratio to the men and people overall. 16% are single females. The rest are married women, women in relationships, married men, men in relationships, men in general, people that you probably don't want to date. So that leaves, if you just install it, if you're a dude hoping to find somebody, you're at 16%. Just doesn't matter who you are. Now, I mean, of finding someone that's single. Now, you could find 33% of the women. Maybe you're, super Chad out there. But that's 2 women for every dude, or excuse me, that's 2 dudes for every woman on the app just to begin with. And then as you start swiping, obviously, they're going to chase after the best. They say this compares to a third of men who are in a relationship and 23% who have taken their vows. So not much better. But let's be honest, 23% who have taken their vows versus more than 40% of the women are married. So men are about half as likely to be married as women that are on the app. Doesn't mean to meet, doesn't mean to hook up, doesn't mean to necessarily even cheat. But these are women that are there at least to look and poke around and maybe get some validation. The guys are there not for validation. The guys are there to actually hook up. That's probably one of the differences. Jason Mander, Global Web Index's head of trends, said he was surprised by the results, but said that not every married person would be using the website to cheat. That's pretty much what I just said. It suggests that women are keener than men to go window shopping, he said. It's clear that there's a segment of the audience using Tinder for purposes they shouldn't be. The natural assumption is that married people are using it to cheat on their partners. People are more inclined to cheat using the app because it's so easy to download and swipe through pictures, he said. People still have a sense that because it is an app, it is different. It is a different version of you, and that you're just having a little bit of fun in cyberspace. However, Mr. Mander added that some married people may be using the app for perfectly innocent reasons, such as make new friends in the area.
Oh, wait, you serious?
No. Now, a woman might say that on her app, but I tell you right now, if she meets Johnny Sixpack driving a Ferrari, she is down to bone. Down to bone. I'm just telling you right now. She may say friends in other ways. But this is a good point. Again, it's not saying these women are cheaters necessarily. But what it tells you is that at 40 or 50% of women out there, they get bored. They need the validation. They want to go looking. And what happens when you look? I can tell you firsthand. I've been in the mindset of, I need a new laptop. The one that I had an old graphics card in it. Couldn't really game on it anymore. I mostly use it to watch movies and stuff. And I had in the back of my head, someday I would like a new laptop. I walked into a couple of electronic stores, and just from fiddling around, I found one. I was like, that's a good price. And that's a good graphics card. And I talked myself into it. These women that are on these apps saying, oh, I just want, maybe they're not saying it out loud, but thinking, I want validation, or it just is nice to be flirted with. What happens when they get flirted with a really good-looking or successful or a hypergamy swing up on the ladder? Off they go, and we know it. They say unsurprisingly, the mobile app is the most popular among young users. Around 38% are aged between 16 and 24. Why are 16-year-olds on this app? They're supposed to be 18, I thought, because that's the lowest you can set the age setting to. And 45% fall in the 25 to 34 bracket. Just 4% are over the age of 45. Because probably at that age, they're either married or, they love their cats. The app is also much more popular in towns and cities than it is in rural areas where there are many fewer people around. Tinder has been downloaded more than 50 million times. They surveyed 48,000 people about their internet habits, of which 621 said they used Tinder. Now, more than that probably did, obviously, especially when you look at the statistics. But at least 621 said they used it. Location-based dating apps, blah, 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 blah. They say new study was 2/3 of the users are men. 1 in 5 will pay for premium services. 16 to 34-year-olds make up the majority of mobile dating app users, accounting for 70% of the total user base. So that's, again, 70% is where most of the young people are dating. So, and they say men are more active on dating apps and sites. And the reason why that is because men have to look and swipe and look and swipe and look and swipe. And women, most of the time, I don't know if they pay for premium, but on a lot of these, the women get to see who swiped or matched on them for free, or they can be much more picky about it. And plus, they're on other social media, too. They said 13% of U.S. males had used the dating site, only 9% of women. According to Tinder, users will log onto the company's app on average 11 times a day. 11 times a day. Women spend as much time as 8.5 minutes swiping left and right during a single session, while men spend 7.2 minutes. So women are on it more. Let's see if there's anything else that's really... They say 99% of it is college educated, most commonly working in industries such as banking, media, and fashion. Oh, that's from, my bad, that's from Hinge. Hinge is mostly 99% college educated. I was going to say I see a lot of non-educated single. I think 99% of users of Tinder are single moms, according to Joker statistics. So what happens? What happens when women do this? Well, here's an article from The Cut. What happens when a married woman goes on Tinder? It started as an experiment. What I found made me want more. Now, I'm not going to read down through the whole thing. I want to keep this relatively short video. I don't want to stretch it out too long. But here's what she said, basically. Her and her husband both discussed it. She said, no hookups. We're just messaging. We're just going to be talking. You can watch over my shoulder. Like, we'll be very open about this. He said, okay. So she went on there and she said she was married. And she put her profile out there and he did the same thing. What she found out is, number one, lots of men were still interested in a physical relationship with her. She got lots of, she said, very naughty messages. She got lots of proposals to hook up. And she found it to be nice. Some of it was gross, she said, but she said a lot of it was nice. And she says, I can see the allure of it. I'll read the paragraph. What his response, or what he got out of it, was a lot less. She said, I put down the phone, and this is just after the last, her wrapping up the article. And this is, again, from The Cut, called Married Woman, what happens when a married woman goes on Tinder. If you want to look it up, it's not that salacious. It's not that interesting. She said, I closed the app, took a very long shower. Pete, which is her husband, was sleeping by that time. I got in bed, kissed his forehead and eyelids, and felt grateful for him. As for Pete, he was learning that married men on Tinder did not get quite the same level of positive feedback as married women. Matches were harder to come by, and when Pete reiterated to the women he matched with that he was in fact married, they did not think he was fabulous or awesome. Go F yourself, one wrote. Gross, another wrote. When he countered that experimenting with dating apps had been his wife's idea, not his, they doubted and derided him. One woman with whom he had a pleasant text exchange for a day or two before fully revealing his status told him that he'd hurt her badly and that he was the first educated person she'd met on Tinder in months. That's not, again, not surprising. And he'd given her the push she needed to permanently swear off the internet dating. He said, they hate me. They hate me. I told him, and this is important, she had a good revelation, and I actually agree with her about this. She said, I told him it wasn't that they hated him. They just wanted things he didn't have to offer. Commitment of time, resources, and exclusivity. See, and that's one of the big things that I think people miss a lot of times in the dating world, and what men need to understand. And I've done videos on this. I've talked about it a billion times, so I'm not going to rehash it. But a man's value is, yes, when he's younger, it's very much his looks, his athleticism. And that carries on through life. But as you age, as a woman gets into her 20s and 30s and 40s, what she realizes is what she looks for is a man that's going to promise himself to her and only her. Why? Because then his resources, his time, his energy, his money, his protection, his desire, everything is hers. And that's what she wants, and that's very important. Women don't want to share that with other women. Now, men, on the other hand, don't care so much when they're like, oh, and if she's legitimately, like if a guy's wife is legitimately hanging out with her gal pals, a man does not care. That's not how men bond. If she doesn't want to curl up and watch a movie while munching on popcorn, usually men don't care. Men, at least, again, many of the men that I know, are a little bit more solitary animals. They're kind of like, hey, man, she keeps my stomach full, my balls empty. She's fun to hang around with. We're good. That's how men bond. Women, on the other hand, they require a lot more for that bonding process to happen. So here, she has a valid point. Her being married for men on a dating app doesn't matter because she doesn't bring any resources or money, or she brings nothing but sexuality, her feminism, or femininity, not feminism, although they bring that too. She brings her femininity, and maybe she's DTF, right? Down to get freaky. And I know that's not what that stands for, but I'm also recording this on YouTube. She's down to freak, right? And that's what those guys are looking for. That's all they want from her. But from a guy's perspective, these women are and especially the ages he's probably swiping in, they're saying, I've had my fun. I've had my playtime. I want a guy that's going to settle down, be exclusive to me, give me his home and his money and his resources, and maybe give me a family or take care of the 4 kids I already have. And so they're looking for different things. And that's why they see him as gross and her as hot. And that's why women can be so picky on the app. Because they can say, married, kid, whatever, and a guy will go, she's still doable. I'd bang her, swipe right. Where men in the same situation, women are saying, no, man, you're a player and a whatever. And they're not into it. Okay, this last part, this man reveals how women on Tinder ditched him on a trip to get back together with her ex-boyfriend. Again, not going to pound down through this story, but a woman has shared a story about one of her Tinder matches, Bobby, who claimed that he was stuck in Washington, D.C. alone after being abandoned by his date on a trip. Basically, this guy goes and he flies to D.C. to meet this woman. He's from like Orlando, Florida. They hang out for a little bit of time. And then she happened to be, and happened, I say, happened to bump into or hang out with her ex. And she says right here, I had a great time last night after our first date. Now, remember, he flew from Orlando to D.C. to see her, made a lot of arrangements to go out of his way to meet her. She said, I had a great time last night and I really like you, but my ex texted me last night and I realized I'm not over him. She then tells me she is cutting her work trip short and going back to Orlando. She's going back to Orlando. She then tells me she is cutting her work. So, wait a minute. Oh, I guess they're both from Orlando, and she asked him to go to D.C. for the week with her, and he does. And then she bounced on him, leaving him in D.C., and she went back home to be with her ex. Now, you know, again, the big takeaway here is, and here's a guy that went out of his way, didn't really know the woman, jumped through some hoops, got an airplane ride to go do something special with her, and she just dumps to go back to the ex. You know, all these things, what they have in common. And I've got one more story for you guys that are on locals, so we'll do that, and then the dating profile of the day over there. But what this tells you, you know, is that women are emotional creatures. Men are driven much more by a physical presence. Because if I could tell most guys, hey, would you ever date and or marry a woman that would never physically satisfy you, but she'd provide you with a big home and a this and that and all the other goodies of your life. However, you can't be with somebody else either. Most men instantly are like, nope, I'm out. Where a lot of women, and again, you can read stuff about this, a lot of women would be like, yep, I got my toys. I'm good with my toys and my little 12 volt, Buzzinator 12,000. She'd say, yeah, I take that for a lap of luxury and everything else. Because women bring one thing to the table, exclusively that women bring to the table, which is the vagine. And as far as the friendships and the camaraderie and the communication and being friends and all that, they can get from their dog, their family, buddies of theirs. But what do women get from men? Well, the men that a woman decides to be with, they exclusively, or at least usually exclusively, bring the finances, the home, the roof over the head, the kid, the protection, all these other things. So that's why I say men inherently have more to offer. And, in regards to this last guy that got bounced on, he went out of his way to meet up with this woman. And do you think miraculously she got one text and was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize this, but I have feelings? No, she'd probably been hitting him up to get back together with him. He'd say no, 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 and then he decided one night, I want to hook up, or yeah, I'll start sleeping with her again. So I'll tell her I want a relationship, and he's a high-value guy, and she decides to bounce on this guy to go back to him. Once you start seeing these dynamics, when you're watching old movies or when you're watching love stories or reading articles, you'll get a lot more of the, yep, of course, of course, of course. And you'll find yourself saying that a lot more. The, oh, yeah, yep, of course. No, I am not surprised. Yep, and you start understanding these dynamics. When you understand those dynamics, and a woman that you've been flirting with on Tinder, and she says she really, really likes you, asks you to take a plane trip to D.C. and go out of your way for your first date or for hanging out or whatever, you can say, no. Like, we'll meet up here, we'll hang out, and if we get along really well, maybe then we'll go to D.C. But again, you don't go out of your way to make the hookups happen and the dates happen, and you don't put out the energy anymore. You don't jump through the hoops. Men are getting done with that because of these actions where you find out she's got a boyfriend, or she's married, or she bounces for a better dude, or you go fly out to meet her and she goes back to her ex. Guys are just seeing that. And on top of that, roughly, like what I say, 16 out of 100 people on Tinder are actually single women. Like, get out of here. The odds are too much against you. Guys, if you're over here over Dale on YouTube, make sure to join me on betterbachelor.locals.com. That's where I do the dating profiles of the day and where I'm going to be doing my next story, which is why so many women cheat on their husbands.